Bunces?
No, I think it's a genuine 50-50, Steve, and I think the styles complement each other, because I think they're just going to meet probably in the middle, and I think there's not going to be any running. I don't think they get very far on Strictly Come Dancing, because I don't want to say the pair of them are dancers. But just to go back to what Barry said, Steve, if I may, I think Stewie earned the right to fight for the world title when he fought a world-class opponent in Sergio Perales on the undercard of the Jimmy McDonald world title fight. And, you know, I mean, he had a couple of losses before that against Haskins and against, obviously, Jimmy McDonald. But I think he learned a lot. Now, Stewart's 33 years old, but he's like a car, like we keep saying, he's like a car. He hasn't got much mileage on him. And he's been had to do a lot of catching up, because, you know, some of these kids, they were good amateurs. Stewie had a long time off. He went working in Ibiza, flying his kite or whatever, and then he come back, settled down and got into professional boxing. So he's been catching up, and he's learned a lot from the fight. And I do really believe the kid's got a great chance. I think, like I've said in the past, it's all about timing. Boxing's all about timing. Frank will tell you that. I mean, you know, I mean, that's what I've done with, you know, such as Clinton Woods. It's all about timing and getting the kids at the right time, and that's what I did for Jimmy McDonald. Now, you know, I mean, if you look at him, we aren't going into too much detail. The last couple of fights that he's had, he don't look too bothered and wouldn't invest any money in him. But it's about getting the kid right, mentally as well as physically, and getting the right fight at the right time. And Frank's been a master of it, and I like to think that I've played a part in a few kids' careers, and up to now. So, you know, if I have the same sort of impact that Frank's had on some of the kids in the past, then I thought I've done a good job.
Yeah, no one doubts that your ability to make fights happen almost from nowhere, to put guys in with other guys for world title fights. No one doubts that you've done that. You've done that on a regular basis. But what you've also done, Dennis, because you wear your heart on your sleeve, is that you put on fights that have cost you a lot of money. You've had to speculate to accumulate. You know, and that's not a criticism. That's a compliment.
It's a good job. The scrap metal business has been okay, Steve, you know.
Okay.
So I've been having to back it up. But, you know, there's a few people out there, some great guys like Phil Jeffries. I mean, he's got his own business, but they put the money where their mouth. They get up to it at a higher level sometimes, but, you know, I dare say if you've got the opportunity, they do the same. It's not, you know, so many people think promoters, they're all very, very wealthy and things like that, but, you know, we do take the risk, and, you know, sometimes you can be a bit cavalier, but, you know, I try and make a calculated risk, and that last fight with McDonald cost me a fortune, but, you know, the fights what were out there for him, and the opportunities that I've got for him, working alongside yourself and the Fox Nation, it would have been a bigger and better fight, and earned a lot more money, and I can guarantee you than what it's going to earn.
Well, listen, Dennis, we'll see you on Saturday. It's the last world title fight in Britain this year. Let's hope that you're also involved with us here at Fox Nation, doing a dozen next year. Dennis Hobson, see you Saturday evening, Dennis.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for all your support, guys.
Yeah, see you later, Dennis Hobson. He is brave, he is game, he's not afraid to go out there. And in all fairness, Gary, Adam did very similar things a few years ago when David was in a couple of those big fights. You know, not when he was world champion. I'm talking about when, you know, the Monty Barrett fight. You know, he went out on a limb, didn't he?
Unprecedented. Unprecedented for people, for Adam. Nobody knew when he turned pro with David, for him to not only train, manage, and promote him in these big fights, which weren't just big fights, they were events. So, you know, it's exceptional.
And it is great, Barry, that you know, we've got a bit, you know, power. There's always a power base in British boxing, whether it be Mickey Duff, and then Frank comes along, Frank Warren comes along, then it's Frank Warren. He has to work with Maloney, and he's got Barry Hearn, and then over the last few years, Mick Hennessy, and then suddenly the last 18 months, 2 years, Eddie Hearn comes along, Frank Warren's there. And I like the idea that Dennis, over the last 6 or 7 years with Clinton and Jamie McDonald, he just throws his aura in, and he gets in the way, and he delivers. I like that. I do.
What he did with Clinton Woods was sensational. Clinton was one of the forgotten champion. Really good fighter, but no, to have the money to get like Clinton Johnson over and stuff like that. It's what Dennis done for Clinton.
Never a boring fight.
He's never. Clinton's
never in a boring fight.
So we'll look back on Clinton in 10 years, right? And we'll look at the last 25 years of boxers, and we'll have Clinton in our top 10, mate. Brits, I'm talking about Brits.
A lot of the credit goes for Dennis Hobson. And the fight is over.
Dennis definitely put his money where his mouth is.
The boys are fired up tonight. We'll be up there in Leeds on Saturday, and one man who'll be on the bill is Frankie Gavin. He's fighting a Ghanaian fighter, and I grabbed a lad called Lamptey. I grabbed hold of Frankie a little bit earlier as he was going to the gym, and the first thing I asked him was quite simple, and he managed to get hold of any footage. Had he seen anything of Lamptey?
Yes, I've been quite lucky, to be honest. There's about 3 of his fights on YouTube, so I've got quite a bit of him.
And I'm assuming, Frank, he's a classic Ghanaian. He's tough, he's hard, he comes forward, he crosses his legs, he throws punches from all angles.
Yeah, a bit like that, yeah. I mean, he tries to be a bit slick now and again, but he doesn't do him, to be fair. When he gets his punches head down and starts swinging, that's when he's better, to be honest.
Now this is the Commonwealth title, Frank. You've got the Lonsdale belt as the British champion. What's the plans in 2014 with regard to that belt? Have you got someone that you know you can fight, or are you thinking of maybe handing it back, keeping the belt?
The belt's mine either way now, so, but it's more about what options are there for me. If obviously there's nothing there, then I'm going to have to fight someone for the British again, which I don't want to do really, to be honest.
Sure.
But I'm not just going to give it to someone and then have nothing in the pipeline for me. If there's nothing when it comes to the fight, for someone for me to fight, then I'm just going to defend it again. But if I get like an eliminator or European title shot, for instance, then I'll gladly vacate, no problem.
Now, I know your boxing, Frank. It's really lovely when fighters have the British, the Commonwealth and the European. It doesn't happen that often these days. I used to love that in the 60s and 70s. Would that be something that appeals to you, having all 3 of them under your name?
Most definitely, mate. When you start boxing, you think about winning belts, and now I've won 4. I just want to win a few more now, and hopefully the European will be next. Or I don't want to even stay intercontinental now because I'm getting ranked quite high with the governing bodies. So as long as it's some sort of belt, then I won't mind giving up one of the belts I've got. But no need for me to give up the Commonwealth now because I've been given a time to have a mandatory, and I've done it now. So I'll have another year until I have to do another one. So I might as well keep hold of that until something else happens.
Now, Frank, the world scene, especially at welterweight, it's all over the place. There's different guys holding different belts, and then Marcus Medina pulled off a big shock against Adrian Broner at the weekend. What did you think when you watched that fight, when you heard the result?
Do you know, I went to bed early because I was in camp. I woke up in the morning, didn't turn my phone on, left my Twitter alone, and then I went and watched it, and I was shocked, to be fair, by how easy he was hitting Broner. Like he didn't respect his power. And even when he did start hitting him, he was going down and then he was still nodding his head. He's not trying to be a showman, but sometimes you just have to grit your teeth and get on with it and win boring. And Broner didn't want to do that, so he got beat.
Now, Frank, someone like Medina, or even Amir Khan, or even Sean Porter, are those guys that you'll be asking your people to get? Are those guys that you want next year, be it before the end of 2014?
Most definitely, yeah, they're the people I want. With Medina, I know he's a good fighter and people laugh at me saying I think I can beat him, but look, if you watch when he boxed Devin Alexander, he got picked apart, and someone who moves their feet with him, and that's what my best thing about me is moving on my foot movement, and I'm quite slick and I'm quite slippery and hard to hit, so I could be his worst nightmare really.
Yeah, and I'm delighted that Medina's done that. And in some way, I mean, I don't want Broner to vanish because he brings a little something to the table, doesn't he?
Oh, most definitely, yeah. If he would have kept winning, he could have been like another Nazim maybe.
Yeah.
He had a big punch, he was cocky, he had a lot of showmanship, and I think he was good. And he's good to watch, and I'd definitely watch you. I'll definitely watch you come back for whoever it's against. And I think many other people will. He tries to be a bit like Mayweather. Obviously, he's not as good, but he still brings something to the boxing game, definitely.
No, he certainly.